The 1 Hour English Daily
一天一小时英文，让你轻松快乐学习，快速提升英文能力，并欢迎订阅我们的频道，按赞、分享，并在下方留言打卡，一起互相鼓励，共同进步吧。
Had I been waiting for too long? Had I been waiting for too long? Had I been working all day? Had I been working all day? Had I been studying for hours? Had I been studying for hours? Had I been sleeping when you called? Had I been sleeping when you called? Had I been thinking about it too much? Had I been thinking about it too much? Had I been exercising regularly? Had I been exercising regularly? Had I been cleaning the house all day? Had I been cleaning the house all day? Had I been driving for hours? Had I been driving for hours? Had I been reading the book before? Had I been reading the book before? Had I been working on this project? Had I been working on this project? Had I been practicing for the test? Had I been practicing for the test? Had I been talking too loudly? Had I been talking too loudly? Had I been eating before you arrived? Had I been eating before you arrived? Had I been preparing dinner? Had I been preparing dinner? Had I been playing the guitar? Had I been playing the guitar? Had I been waiting at the station? Had I been waiting at the station? Had I been helping him with homework? Had I been helping him with homework? Had I been running in the park? Had I been running in the park? Had I been practicing yoga? Had I been practicing yoga? Had I been working late at night? Had I been working late at night? Had you been waiting for long? Had you been waiting for long? Had you been working on this all day? Had you been working on this all day? Had you been sleeping when I called? Had you been sleeping when I called? Had you been exercising regularly? Had you been exercising regularly? Had you been studying for the exam? Had you been studying for the exam? Had you been cooking dinner? Had you been cooking dinner? Had you been cleaning the house? Had you been cleaning the house? Had you been watching TV? Had you been watching TV? Had you been playing the piano? Had you been playing the piano? Had you been running in the park? Had you been running in the park? Had you been reading before dinner? Had you been reading before dinner? Had you been helping with the chores? Had you been helping with the chores? Had you been shopping for groceries? Had you been shopping for groceries? Had you been preparing a speech? Had you been preparing a speech? Had you been practicing the guitar? Had you been practicing the guitar? Had you been fixing the car? Had you been fixing the car? Had you been working overtime? Had you been working overtime? Had you been writing an email? Had you been writing an email? Had you been painting the walls? Had you been painting the walls? Had you been drawing pictures? Had you been drawing pictures? Had you been fixing the car? Had you been fixing the car? Had you been working overtime? Had you been working overtime? Had you been writing an email? Had you been writing an email? Had you been painting the walls? Had you been painting the walls? Had you been drawing pictures? Had you been drawing pictures? Had he been waiting for the bus? Had he been waiting for the bus? Had he been reading before bed? Had he been reading before bed? Had he been exercising at the gym? Had he been exercising at the gym? Had he been talking on the phone? Had he been talking on the phone? Had he been painting the house? Had he been painting the house? Had he been helping his parents? Had he been helping his parents? Had he been fixing the car? Had he been fixing the car? Had he been playing video games? Had he been playing video games? Had he been waiting for your call? Had he been waiting for your call? Had he been running in the park? Had he been running in the park? Had he been learning a new skill? Had he been learning a new skill? Had he been preparing for the trip? Had he been preparing for the trip? Had he been shopping for clothes? Had he been shopping for clothes? Had he been writing a book? Had he been writing a book? Had he been working on the project? Had he been working on the project? Had she been working on the report? Had she been working on the report? Had she been cooking all morning? Had she been cooking all morning? Had she been studying for the exam? Had she been studying for the exam? Had she been exercising daily? Had she been exercising daily? Had she been helping her friends? Had she been helping her friends? Had she been waiting for the train? Had she been waiting for the train? Had she been cleaning the room? Had she been cleaning the room? Had she been playing the piano? Had she been playing the piano? Had she been reading a novel? Had she been reading a novel? Had she been writing an article? Had she been writing an article? Had she been traveling last month? Had she been traveling last month? Had she been practicing yoga? Had she been practicing yoga? Had she been shopping for groceries? Had she been shopping for groceries? Had she been teaching her students? Had she been teaching her students? Had she been painting a picture? Had she been painting a picture? Had she been listening to music? Had she been listening to music? Had she been learning a new language? Had she been learning a new language? Had she been organizing the files? Had she been organizing the files? Had she been preparing for a meeting? Had she been preparing for a meeting? Had she been watering the plants? Had she been watering the plants? Had it been raining all night? Had it been raining all night? Had it been snowing in the morning? Had it been snowing in the morning? Had it been working properly? Had it been working properly? Had it been getting colder? Had it been getting colder? Had it been running smoothly? Had it been running smoothly? Had it been causing problems? Had it been causing problems? Had it been making noise? Had it been making noise? Had it been improving over time? Had it been improving over time? Had it been taking longer than expected? Had it been taking longer than expected? Had it been working before the failure? Had it been working before the failure? Had it been growing quickly? Had it been growing quickly? Had it been showing signs of damage? Had it been showing signs of damage? Had it been following the schedule? Had it been following the schedule? Had it been performing well? Had it been performing well? Had it been staying in one place? Had it been staying in one place? Had it been losing power? Had it been losing power? Had it been changing color? Had it been changing color? Had it been updating automatically? Had it been updating automatically? Had it been showing any errors? Had it been showing any errors? Had it been functioning as expected? Had it been functioning as expected? Had we been working as a team? Had we been working as a team? Had we been planning the trip? Had we been planning the trip? Had we been waiting for the results? Had we been waiting for the results? Had we been practicing for the game? Had we been practicing for the game? Had we been traveling together? Had we been traveling together? Had we been cleaning the house? Had we been cleaning the house? Had we been preparing dinner? Had we been preparing dinner? Had we been shopping for gifts? Had we been shopping for gifts? Had we been organizing the event? Had we been organizing the event? Had we been building the house? Had we been building the house? Had we been studying for a test? Had we been studying for a test? Had we been jogging every morning? Had we been jogging every morning? Had we been practicing a new skill? Had we been practicing a new skill? Had we been fixing the car? Had we been fixing the car? Had we been painting the walls? Had we been painting the walls? Had we been planting flowers? Had we been planting flowers? Had we been arranging the furniture? Had we been arranging the furniture? Had we been building a website? Had we been building a website? Had we been fixing the roof? Had we been fixing the roof? Had we been learning new recipes? Had we been learning new recipes? Had they been working on the project? Had they been working on the project? Had they been waiting for you? Had they been waiting for you? Had they been studying together? Had they been studying together? Had they been preparing dinner? Had they been preparing dinner? Had they been painting the house? Had they been painting the house? Had they been playing football? Had they been playing football? Had they been fixing the car? Had they been fixing the car? Had they been practicing the piano? Had they been practicing the piano? Had they been shopping at the market? Had they been shopping at the market? Had they been helping their friends? Had they been helping their friends? Had they been organizing the event? Had they been organizing the event? Had they been walking in the park? Had they been walking in the park? Had they been writing a report? Had they been writing a report? Had they been gardening in the yard? Had they been gardening in the yard? Had they been taking care of the kids? Had they been taking care of the kids? Had they been watching the news? Had they been watching the news? Had they been traveling for work? Had they been traveling for work? Had they been cleaning the garage? Had they been cleaning the garage? Had they been practicing yoga? Had they been practicing yoga? Had they been preparing for a concert? Had they been preparing for a concert? Had the teacher been explaining well? Had the teacher been explaining well? Had the kids been playing outside? Had the kids been playing outside? Had your friend been helping you? Had your friend been helping you? Had the dog been barking all night? Had the dog been barking all night? Had the machine been running smoothly? Had the machine been running smoothly? Had your parents been waiting for you? Had your parents been waiting for you? Had the car been working properly? Had the car been working properly? Had the team been practicing daily? Had the team been practicing daily? Had the students been studying hard? Had the students been studying hard? Had the chef been preparing meals? Had the chef been preparing meals? Had the musician been composing songs? Had the musician been composing songs? Had the weather been getting colder? Had the weather been getting colder? Had the company been growing rapidly? Had the company been growing rapidly? Had the doctor been seeing patients? Had the doctor been seeing patients? Had the children been playing quietly? Had the children been playing quietly? Had the plane been flying smoothly? Had the plane been flying smoothly? Had the manager been reviewing reports? Had the manager been reviewing reports? Had the farmers been harvesting crops? Had the farmers been harvesting crops? Had the employees been working hard? Had the employees been working hard? Had the artist been painting for hours? Had the artist been painting for hours?
如果这部影片有帮助到您，欢迎按赞、分享、订阅、留言，来帮助更多的人。最后记得开启小铃铛，让我们一起共同学习与成长吧。